10 tips for livestock farmers, that's for beginners. Assalamu alaikum. A lot of people, when they want to start livestock, they just go ahead and start getting the equipment, getting the land space, getting the livestock, and then they just start with it. And that, to me, is not a good idea. The best is for you to have to, number one, study the market. So you want to go into something, you need to perform cost benefit analysis on what you're going into, how profitable is it, what cost does it take you to get a number of profits. And in this video, we don't tell you that you need to just go start getting land and getting other things. No, you need to perform the cost benefit analysis, see how the market is, how you can also take advantage of the market. That is the first thing for everyone who want to start livestock farming. Check the market and see how easy it is to sell, how much profit you can make over a period of time with a number of livestock. I understand. Number two is now the land. After you have considered the market and decided on the number of animals you may like to start with, let's say 100 cattle, you will need to get a land. And getting a land, you need to consider a lot of things. The location of the land. Where are you going to establish your farm? That is, you need to consider if it is easy to access water, easy accessibility of food, easy accessibility to the market, and you understand. So don't just go and buy a land anywhere. You need to consider the cost of the land too, and consider if the place is a waterlog area or not, if it is, you understand. So you need to decide. So when someone tells you he's got a land somewhere, you need to investigate to see how well this is good for livestock farming. Number three is the housing. How do you wish to do your housing for your livestock farming? There are different methods of housing for livestock farmers. Some may want to start with using wiring as their way of fencing their livestock farming. Some may want to use wooden facility. Some may want to use block or building system that they raise a building facility to do that. But as a livestock farmer, it is something you are going into fresh. What we would advise you is that if possible, do not invest or put a lot of money in the housing. No. You should just ensure that you have started with a reasonable amount of livestock, and just ensure that what you are going to use is the most economical and beneficial method of fencing or housing. And that will also depend on the country's laws. If the country says that you need to use block building or you need to use metal fencing, what choice do you have? So you need to look. If there are a lot of options for you, then you choose the one that has a great benefit and very economical. Number four is security. A lot of people just get a land and they do not actually make inquiries about how secure the place is. If you are establishing a farm, you need to check out the area that you are. Are there armed robbers? Are there thieves? Are there bad people? So when you investigate, I know those things, they are everywhere. But there are some places where the crime rates are lower and some places where crime rates are high. At some places, you can even get some people who may even go into your livestock farm and go and destroy all your animals. Some may go and steal, some may just go and cause you harm. So you need to check the security of the location. And security, when you have a nice building for your livestock, you may consider having a security personnel who would be watching over your livestock to ensure that the person is trustworthy. Another thing is that you may want to consider is having a dog. A dog as a security is one of the best things, because dogs, when humans go to bed, dogs do not actually go to bed. And dogs, having it from the young stage to begin with the animals and it grows with the animal, would be the best decision, because they get to know each other and he gets to know them very well and he can always direct them. Number five is feed. Before you establish a livestock farm, you need to ask yourself which method you are going to use. Are you going to do the free range livestock farming? That means that you'll be taking your animals out to go and eat. If that is why you're going into, ask yourself that location, Do they have free food that you could do that? And then the other option is that if you're going to be doing it indoor, or you're going to be doing it well in a structured facility. So if you're going to doing it like that, ask yourself, how do you intend to get feed? Are you going to be going out to go and be getting as a way? Are you going to be going out to meet food sellers? You could get their plantain peels and cassava peels. And are you also going to plant your own feed? That means that if you've decided that you're also going to be planting, you might have to get extra land that you'll be using for cultivation of their feed. And there are a lot of grasses, a lot of feed you could cultivate to help your livestock farm, which are very nutritious. And that is why I would recommend you to look kind of like brachyra grasses and the other ones. But if you're in Ghana, there's a guy who is also doing well in terms of that. And I checked his YouTube. He is called Farming in Africa. So he can help you. Farming in Africa, he has some grass and those things. So that guy is called Fred. He can also help you with nice feed. He can even guide you through. So when it comes to feed, you need to consider also planting your own feed to support what you get, because in some parts of the world there are seasons. When it is dry season, you might not get the free food because the weather will be hot, the grass will be dried, and there will be bushfires. So if there are bushfires, you actually wouldn't get food for your livestock unless what you have planted and cultivated and stored for your livestock. So you need to consider the feed a way of feeding for your livestock. Number 6 is veterinary service. Before you start establishing your livestock farm, you also have to have it in mind that these are living creatures and they could fall sick. And if they fall sick, who could be their doctor? So you need to start thinking like that. So where you are going to establish your livestock farm, are there veterinary community there? Are there veterinary services who could support you, who could give you advice, who could treat your animals, who could be there at their time of need? That's what you need to investigate. So if there are no veterinary people or they are not enough, you need to think of acquiring the knowledge yourself, or actually going to train someone to come and help you in that. And one of the best way of ensuring economical way of this is for you to actually learn. You also have to, while you start gradually, you have to start learning how to treat your own animals, how to take care of your animal, how to clean them, how to treat them, how to inject them when they are sick, to know if an animal behaves this way, it's fine. If it is behaved this way, it's not okay. So you need to also examine and see how you can acquire knowledge, or take people to places that they could actually go and acquire knowledge to come and help you. Imagine you are rearing 100 cattle and in your team you have a veterinary who is your own, and he will always be there to attend to this animal. He will always be there to check the animals. I think that will be the best thing. So consider having a veterinary in your team while planning your livestock farming. If there are no veterinary, you might have to think of acquiring that knowledge, and that is why we make these videos. Thank you. Number 7 is workers. You need to have workers for your livestock. If you started a livestock farming and it was just small, you could have been doing it alone. But when you are expanding, you need to start thinking, how can I get people to support me so we can do it better? And having workers could be both skilled and unskilled. A lot of people just think about somebody who could be helping him getting the food, treating the animal, those things. But that is not just it. While such people are important, you also need to have skilled people. And that is why I already talked about the veterinary. If you have a veterinary as part of your team, that could help you. And another thing is that you could have, it depends on the size. If your livestock is very big, where you are rearing over 1,000 cattle or 1,000 sheep, you need to start thinking about having somebody who could help take records and things. This helps you grow your livestock in a better and a well-structured way. But if you just started with small, then you might have to think of doing it alone and yourself. Number 8 is procurement of the best breeds. Number 8 is getting the best breed. You don't want to start your livestock like the way our grandfathers did it, and they just had any type of animal. You want to go into livestock with the best breed that could stand good weather condition and at the same time has great market prices. And that is what you want to go into. Livestock that grow faster, livestock that could give you enough return. That is what you need to go for. If you are into goats, you need to start thinking of having goats that grow. From Africa or Ghana, we have local breeds and they don't increase in sizes. So you might have to consider getting bigger breeds. That does not necessarily mean you should go and buy plenty of them. You can start with a few and then you could cross them with the local ones. So if you're into goat farming, you could do this. If you're into sheep farming, you could do this. If you're into cattle farming, you could do the same thing. Get a few of the best breeds, you bring them, and then they give birth to more. You bring them, you cross them with the local ones. This would help increase your, the number of cattle or your number of livestock for a period of time. And that is the way you need to do it. So if you are going into livestock, you need to get the best breed that could give you best markets as at the time of selling. I hope you understand. Number 9 is creating your sales funnel or your marketing funnel. You see, the first thing I told you to consider is your market. Investigate and find out, because we have a use for that investigation. So when you investigated, you found out, you need to design a way that you would be selling your livestock when it's time or whenever you decide to. So what are the various ways and means you could sell your livestock? Is it by inviting people to come to your farm? Is it by taking them to the market? Is it by having a contract with the government? Is it by meeting institutions or company? So you need to look at these various ways and look at the cost involved in each and how you could target and grow your livestock to meet your customers' demand. And that is very important. So when the most important aspect of every business is sales. If you can't make sales, then you don't need to actually start anything. And that is the purpose of your business. So you need to structure and define the various means that you are going to be selling your livestock. But in Africa here, there's a high demand for livestock. If only your livestock is nice and then the price are also good, you can easily sell them. And that is one of the best things about livestock. There's always a ready market. That is in Africa, but in other parts of the world, I don't know. Number 10 is to have a media. You need to create a media for your livestock farming. A lot of people do not see this as a prerequisite or as important, and that is why at the time of sales it's difficult for them, and that is why they can't actually make more impact, and that is why they can't establish a good brand or goodwill for their livestock farm. So if you want to establish a livestock farming, you need to start thinking, how can I get known? Because it's about making noise, it's about impacting on people, and also people getting to know your brand. So this way you are thinking about your future. You are thinking about establishing your livestock for a very long time. Unless you want to do your livestock farm in a secret way, it is important that you need to get, other than that, it is important that you need to get a media outlet. Now there is social media. You could establish a TikTok for your farming. You could establish a YouTube. You could establish a Facebook page. You could establish Instagram, where you always share your farming tips and do a lot of that. And if you are the owner of the livestock and you have workers, this is where your attention is. This is where you should be doing. This is where you have to go. So for a beginner, if you are starting a livestock farm, even if you started with 2 cattle or 2 sheep, you need to establish a social media platform where you will always be sharing your updates, so that one day when you want to bid for investors, it is easy for them to invest in you, because they will get enough material on the media to be able to support you. And this is one of the 10 tips that we have for the livestock farmers today. If this is your first time, kindly follow our Facebook page, our TikTok page, and then subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.